$1,400 fourth stimulus check update, specifically focused on Social Security, including retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, RRB, low income, no income, seniors, older adults, and of course, people with disabilities. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now in this video, I want to discuss the latest updates and details on a $1,400 fourth stimulus check as requested by so many of you right here in the community. We all know a lot of things have changed as of recently, therefore I want to discuss all the details, where we currently stand, and what does the future hold for additional stimulus checks over the coming days, weeks, and or months. There's a lot going on here in this video, so let's get into it and discuss what is actually going on right here, right now. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and because I am your one and only daily advocate, I'm here for you right by your side every single day, doing all the necessary research and watching all this new information hitting the wire, bringing it to you in these short videos so you can stay updated with what is actually going on right now, and ultimately pointing out anything right now that you may be able to grab and or take advantage of, including money, benefits, raises to benefits, checks, stimulus, programs, or anything else like that for the low income and fixed income. And ultimately, I want to point it all out so you can stay updated with how this is going to impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, and so much more going on right now. It's a very busy time. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet so you don't miss any videos going forward, and I'll continue to be here for you with all the updates each and every day. All right, thanks again. Let's jump into it and talk about where we currently stand and some of this new information that's been coming out recently. What does all of this mean for the likelihood of additional stimulus checks at some point, like I said, over the coming days, weeks, and or months, as there's a lot going on right now. All right, so I kind of want to talk through all of this in somewhat of a chronological order as far as what's going on, what are some of the changes that have happened recently, and what can we expect all this to happen here over the coming, couple months here. What's going to happen here? All right, so first off, obviously, we can talk about the midterm elections. We don't need to go into that a whole lot here, but we do know that the midterm elections obviously are over. The new Congress has been elected. Therefore, these new lawmakers are coming in January, right? Well, as a result of that, this is going to be a whole bunch of new people coming in, a bunch of new ideas, bunch of new beliefs, a bunch of new agenda items, a bunch of new kind of projects and things that they have on their plate, right? So we have to remember this much as well. All of these lawmakers, right, regardless of which party they come from, doesn't really matter. I'm not taking political sides in this video, as I never do in any of my videos, but I'm just simply saying, we're going to have some new people coming into Congress. As a result of that, we're going to have a whole new set of objectives, a whole new set of agenda, right? A whole new set of beliefs that are going to be coming in. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Well, that's all to be determined, right? We'll have to determine that going forward here. Well, as a result of that, we do know that these lawmakers are going to be coming in like they always do, right? Lawmakers do this, presidents do this as they always become elected, and they have all of these plans, right? I've got a 7-point plan. I've got a 5-point plan. I've got a 17-point plan. I got a 126-point plan. You know what I mean? They all come in with these great plans, and they have all these objectives and things that they want to do, and then ultimately, for the most part, they don't get a whole lot done, but at least they come in with a plan and they have something. So a lot of times, usually when these new lawmakers come in, a lot of things really get proposed relatively quickly because they all get excited that they're finally got a little bit of authority and they want to get something done, right? Well, they start working away at it, and then of course, after a short amount of time, they kind of lose all that enthusiasm, and then of course, they kind of go back into, kind of the regular kind of swing of things, and things slow down a little bit. But going into the new Congress and things like that, it might get a little bit exciting here to see what do these new lawmakers have up their sleeve. What do they want to do? What are some of the ideas, and what are the things that they want to bring in? So this is one thing that I'm going to be watching very closely as we get into the new year and all things like this. What is this new Congress going to bring to us, right? What do they want to do for the people? At the end of the day, we all need to ask ourselves the question, and of course, ask the lawmakers the question, what are you going to do for us, right? We couldn't care less what they're going to do for themselves. Right? We always remember too, they're most part, they're self-serving, right? They want to do what's best for them. But at the end of the day, we don't really care what they're going to do for themselves. We want to know, what are you going to do for us, all right? What are you going to do for us? That's what we all need to know about, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. What are they going to do for the American people, as that is what they are there for. A few hundred people, basically representing all of us, right? We've got less than 600 people representing the entire United States. It's a small group of people representing hundreds of millions of people, right? So it's very important. But so that is number one that I want to talk about. The new Congress, it's going to be interesting to see what they bring up. And again, some of the new bills, proposals, packages, pieces of legislation, things like that they're going to be bringing up, right? So, of course, I'll continue watching that closely as well. Next, we need to continue watching very closely the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve and interest rates as well as inflation. Number one, the Federal Reserve is still aggressively raising interest rates. We got to watch that very closely. Next, we need to continue watching inflation. Has inflation come down a whole lot? Well, depends who you ask. If you look at the real reports and what's going on in the real world, as far as when you go out to the stores and you buy some products, whether it's food or clothing or a new car or a house or literally anything, if you're buying anything these days, it's more expensive than what it was a year ago, right? But if you ask some of the people out there, they'll say, oh no, inflation is going down. In fact, inflation peaked out. Well, according to everything that I'm reading out there, according to everything that I'm looking at, with everything going on right now, there's a likelihood that we might not even see, we may not have even seen the top of all this inflation yet. This might just be a little bit of a trough coming in before we go back up to even new highs in inflation. Now again, we'll have to see what happens here, but according to what I've been seeing, we may not be done with all of this inflation. So if that's the case, the Federal Reserve has a lot of work ahead of them to bring this inflation down. But again, their interest rate policies have not exactly been doing a whole lot to all this inflation so far, right? Inflation has come down maybe a teeny tiny bit on some things, but on food and shelter and healthcare and a whole variety of other things that all of us are spending money on a regular basis, it's not coming down, right? So this is very important to watch as well. Now next, as the Federal Reserve continues to raise interest rates, we need to watch the job market very closely, okay? So again, all this is going to come full circle here in just a second. You might be wondering, what does any of this have to do with a $1,400 check? It's all going to come full circle here in just a second. So another thing that we need to watch closely is the interest rate policy out of the Federal Reserve, and we need to watch the job market. What's going on with the monthly non-farm payroll numbers that are coming out? These numbers are generally released on the first Friday of every single month, and it gives us a glimpse into how many jobs were created the previous month, and of course, what is the unemployment rate doing? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying the same? What is going on? Well, the whole objective is to actually make sure that the unemployment rate actually goes up. So again, we never want to lose jobs. We never want to have people, be unemployed, things like that. But unfortunately, that's kind of the case when it comes down to the Federal Reserve raising interest rates. Is they're pretty much going to crush the job market. Well, this is one of the possibly the most important factors when it comes to the likelihood of additional stimulus checks. What's the job market doing? If we lose a bunch of jobs, as in millions of jobs, in fact, some people are suggesting right now we may need to lose about 5 to 6 million jobs in this country in order for this inflation to go down. That's just what some of the economists and experts are saying out there right now, is that we need to lose millions of jobs, as in millions of jobs in this economy need to be cut in order for this inflation to go down. And again, that's just what some of the people are saying. Will it actually happen? If it happens, I can tell you this much. This economy is going to be in a very different situation, right? If that is the case, the unemployment rate will be significantly higher. In fact, some people are also suggesting we may need to see an unemployment rate of about 7 to 9%, possibly even higher than that, again, to bring this inflation down, and that would translate into millions upon millions of jobs being lost, right? So if that's the case, will we be seeing more stimulus checks? Well, let me lay this out for you. What happened in early 2020 when all of a sudden about 40 million people lost their jobs as a result of everything being closed down? Did we get checks? Yeah, you better believe we did. We got checks almost immediately. That was possibly the fastest that Congress has ever worked in their life, right? Congress came forward with the CARES Act, the $2.3 trillion CARES Act. Actually, I believe it was $2.2 trillion. I apologize. I was off by 100 billion. Sorry. Anyway, the $2.2 trillion CARES Act was passed at that time in record time. It took them no time at all. It took them like 2 weeks from the time that they came up with the bill until they voted on it and passed it. It was like a 2-week period of time that they came up with the bill, they voted on it and passed it, and we had $1,200 checks in our accounts just like 2 weeks later, okay? From the time that they passed it until the time we had checks in our accounts was only about 2 weeks. So my point is, when things happen, when the economy goes down the drain and it goes down fast, Congress also has the ability to work fast. I know it's hard to believe that they can't really work fast all the time, but believe it or not, they can. When there's an objective, when there is a need, they can actually work pretty quickly. And that's exactly what we experienced in early 2020. In fact, in March of 2020, when they passed the CARES Act and got those $1,200 checks out to us, right? Now, the other packages, the $600 and the $1,400 from a couple years ago, yes, it did take them more time because the economy wasn't quite as in such of a situation. However, we may be dropping into another one of these type of situation. Pretty much depending on who you're looking at right now, almost all big banks, all big bank CEOs, a lot of high profile people out there are suggesting 2023 is going to be a very ugly economic year. If that's the case, if we see a very ugly economic year, what's going to happen? Checks are probably going to be sent out. It's going to be checks galore, right? We're going to call 2023 checks galore year. That's basically what it'll come down to, because if the economy is in that type of situation, they're going to need to print a bunch of money called quantitative easing, Operation Twist, or QE, or whatever you want to call it. They give it all kinds of different names all the time, but essentially it's the same thing as the Federal Reserve printing hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars and plowing it into the economy, okay? So when it comes down to another check, again, as of right now, a $1,400 check or check of any dollar amount has not been approved yet. So I make that very clear in all the videos. A check has not been approved yet, but we need to continue watching this economy as this thing continues to roll over and this thing, goes down in a ball of flames. It's going to be a totally different situation and a totally different conversation when it comes down to checks. And here's another thing too, I'm going to throw it there really quickly. There are some lawmakers out there right now who are pushing for ongoing monthly checks on a nationwide basis. Guaranteed basic income programs on a nationwide basis for the low income. So that's another thing we got to watch as well, because you never know. Maybe with all of these guaranteed basic income programs popping up all around the country, this may give birth to a nationwide guaranteed basic income program for virtually all people administered by the federal government. If that were the case, that'd be like the best of all the world. So again, there's a lot of different moving parts here. The best thing we can continue to do is remain vigilant, remain updated with everything going on. And of course, that's why I've said earlier, you got to make sure that you're subscribed by hitting the button down below, because I'm here for you doing all the research and following all this stuff very, very closely so you can stay updated with what is actually going on as all of this continues to change very, very rapidly. So again, hope this one helps you out to get a better glimpse into what is actually going on and some of the updates as far as what's happening in regards to another check going out right now. So again, please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. I'll continue finding everything and bringing it to you in these short videos every single day. Truly want to help you out in any way that I can. So again, subscribe down below, share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands and thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, have a good one, subscribe down below, and I'll catch you again later.